In 1996, a small village in the interior of Italy was a scene of one of the most bizarre and frightening cases ever documented. What appeared to be an ordinary church, frequented by locals, hid a disturbing secret. For years, their faithful believed they were worshiping God, but without realizing it, they were indulging in something much darker. How can an entire congregation be deceived to worship a demon? And what signs revealed what really happened there? In this video, let's explore this real story and the macabre details that surround it. Part 1. The beginning of all. The village of Castleverde has always been known for its isolation and strong religious traditions. In the center of the community, a small stone church had been operating for decades without attracting attention. The priest in charge, Don Marcello, was respected by all and conducted weekly masses, weddings and baptisms like any other priest. But from 1990, something started to change. The sermons took on a different tone, increasingly loaded with strange symbolism and enigmatic messages. The faithful noticed that traditional prayers were being replaced by words they did not recognize. Gradually, the church ritual began to seem wrong. The candles lit for prayers were no longer white, but black. The altar, before simple, was decorated with symbols that no one could identify. And the strangest, a new figure began to appear in the ceremonies. A man in a red robe, whose face no one could accurately describe, for he always seemed to be covered by shadows. It was only years after the truth came to light, and what was discovered shocked even religious authorities. Part 2. The signs of the secret cult. The change in the church did not go unnoticed. Some residents began to wonder why certain passages of the Bible were omitted from the readings, and why Don Marcello insisted so much on unconventional rituals. But the fear of questioning the authority of the church prevented any direct confrontation. That's when the first incidents began. A young woman named Elena, the church's altar boy, swore she heard whispers coming from the altar during the early hours. She believed that the priest prayed alone, but the sounds were different guttural words, almost as if another voice was there with him. At the same time, farmers in the region reported finding dead animals near the church, always arranged in circular patterns, with precise cut marks. For some, that could be the work of predators. But for the more attentive, it was a sign of something much worse. The height of mystery came in 1995, when one of the oldest faithful disappeared without a trace. Giuseppe Romano, a gentleman of 78 years old, used to be the first to arrive and the last to leave the masses. One night, he told his wife that he needed to talk to Don Marcello about something very serious. He was never seen again. Rumors began to spread. Giuseppe had discovered something about the church, something that should not be revealed. It was only when a group of investigators decided to scour the site that the truth came to light. Part 3. The macabre discovery. In 1996, after pressure from the residents and the disappearance of Giuseppe Romano, the police decided to investigate the church. At first, Don Marcello cooperated, allowing them to search the place. Everything seemed in order until one of the officers noticed something unusual at the altar. The marble top had subtle scratches, almost invisible to the naked eye. When they cleaned the surface with a damp cloth, they revealed a hidden design, a demonic secrecy. It was a symbol linked to forbidden invocations, recorded in medieval grimoires. This raised suspicion and led to the search of other areas of the church. In the back of the temple, there was a door that led to a basement not used. Inside, investigators found evidence that froze the blood of everyone present. The floor was marked with occult circles, remains of black candle wax, and an old book written by hand in an unknown language. But the worst was yet to come. Behind a false panel, they discovered a small secret chamber. Within it, human bones were arranged around a central stone, as if they were part of a ritual. After forensic analysis, it was discovered that those were the remains of Giuseppe Romano. His body had been carefully positioned, with marks indicating a ritualistic sacrifice. The truth was clear. That church did not serve God. It was a disguised cult led by Don Marcello and a restricted circle of followers. They believed to be in contact with an ancient entity, something that required offerings to grant power and protection. Part 4. The Destiny of Don Marcello and the Secret of the Church. With the macabre evidence found in the basement, Don Marcello was immediately arrested. On interrogation, he remained silent for hours. When he finally spoke, his words made the investigators restless. He stated that the church has always had a greater purpose than the villagers imagined. According to him, centuries ago, that temple was a place of worship to an entity known only as Il Sussurratore the Whisperer. For Don Marcello, this entity was not a demon, but force prior to the very concept of good and evil. He claimed that the sacrifices were necessary to maintain balance, and that Giuseppe Romano died because he tried to interrupt a sacred ritual. The authorities did not accept this explanation. The priest was formally accused of murder and concealment of corpse, but before he was brought to trial, something unexplainable happened. In the cell where he was held, Don Marcello was found dead. His body showed no signs of violence, but his face was paralyzed in an expression of absolute horror. Security cameras did not record any visits or strange movements that night. The autopsy revealed an unusual cause. His heart simply stopped, as if it died of pure terror. After the death of the priest, the church was closed and considered cursed by the residents. They tried to demolish the place, but the workers reported strange accidents, tools disappearing and whispering voices echoing through the empty corridors. In the end, the village decided to abandon construction, which remains standing today, being avoided by all. The official records of this case have been archived, but some occult researchers believe that Il Sussurratore still inhabits that place. And from time to time, there are reports of people who pass by the old church and swear to hear a whisper coming from inside, even if the place is completely empty. The case of the secret church in Castelverde raises a disturbing question. To what extent can we trust the institutions that are supposed to represent faith and morality? For years, the faithful believed they were praying to God, not realizing that they were participating in something much darker. But the most frightening is not only the deception, it's the possibility that Don Marcello really believed in what he was doing. Was this just the story of a manipulative cult disguised as a church? Or is there something else? Something that escaped the understanding of the authorities? The mysterious death of the priest, the hidden symbols and the whispers that are still reported raise a question. Was Il Sussurratore just a delirium? Or is there something that reason still cannot explain? Regardless of the answer, one thing is certain. This was not the first time that a church hid macabre secrets. And if we look closely at history, we see that cases like this have happened more times than we would like to admit. What do you think? Was Don Marcello a fanatic or really in contact with something unknown? Leave your opinion in the comments and share this video with those who like dark mysteries.